Hey girl, hey, welcome to the Self-Care Saturday. On this week's episode, we are going to talk about how healing has been one of the best decisions that I could ever make in my life. But before we get started, I just also wanted to touch on some things that kind of brought this video on. And that is, in April and May, things were a little rough and I needed to heal a few things and go a little deeper into those things. Coming on making videos very regularly because I was in heavy energy with the healing and trying to overcome some things that were coming up for me. And then we went from that energy to feeling like, okay, yeah, that's great, into then my grandma being getting ill, going into the hospital, and that wasn't going well. So we ended up being putting her in hospice. And I just spent a lot of time with her up at the hospital and during her hospice time. So I've just been kind of MIA because of those reasons for a few weeks. As sad and I am that she is no longer with us, I am relieved that she is no longer suffering anymore and she's with the Lord. So she's in good hands and she's up there with all her loved ones that has passed away as well. So I'm thankful for that. And now that all of that is behind us, I feel like I kind of get back on track with my weekly tasks and things like that. So one of the things that I have noticed is during this time, because, things were kind of coming up and they were a bit triggering in some cases, and I wasn't responding in a way that I would have. So it motivated me to make this video and just to say how healing has changed my life. And I'm in awe of the expansion that the healing has offering me right now. And so we're going to just touch on that and get more into detail with that. Just wanted to let you know that I do have some notes on my computer. So I will be looking at those because I don't want to forget any important details or anything like that. I didn't react like the unhealed version of myself. Instead, I responded with emotional intelligence, compassion, and grounded awareness. And that's how I know I've shifted, because the old version of me would have reacted in a very hostile, probably way in some cases of different things that were coming up for me. Healing has created, a massive shift in my mindset, my habits, and my identity. I honor how far I've come, even when the enemy tries to pull me back, because he does pretty regularly around here. But I stay firm and I say, nope, not today, Satan. I choose alignment and I choose my higher self. And as I choose the alignment and I choose my higher self, it does take a little bit of self-discipline and self-awareness to say, okay, nope, I'm not going to respond in this way, or, to be able to control yourself and just take a moment to say, okay, well, what is coming up? Like, why do I feel this way? Why is my body reacting in this way? And then you can journal it, and that usually unpacks some of your deep-seated feelings, and that's kind of why you're being triggered. And then you can do some shadow work to go a little bit further and figure out what are the causes of those things, like what is really the root of them. And then you can journal it, feel it, journal it, heal it, and release it. And that's really important, because when you are triggered, it's not that it's that person's fault, right? Sometimes we can get into like a victim mindset of like, oh, why did that person do that to me? And it's not like that, right? When we are triggered, that is God's way of showing us what we need to heal, what we need to take a closer look at, and what needs our immediate attention. So don't let it go and be like, oh, I'll deal with that next week or anything like that. Usually it's better to do the work when it is raw. because then you're emotionally vulnerable with that situation, right? You can write about it and, you know, you get the true feeling of that trip. Don't put it off too much. Can't deal with it right then and there, because it might be during the workday or something like that, but definitely do it at night. Or if you can escape to your car and do just like a voice, video, or not a video, but like a voice recording. Record your feelings at that moment, and then you can listen back to it if you need to help you journal it out, heal it, and stuff like that. Because sometimes when we let it go for a few hours or whatever, we can maybe even forget, like, oh, well, what was that really about? Because we get distracted with other things that we need to do. So if you have the availability to go out to your car or somewhere in private where you can do a voice message to yourself, I would definitely recommend doing that. And, to be honest with you, this is what winning looks like to me. I'm no longer self-sabotaging through emotional eating, smoking, or any of the escapism things that we, can get ourselves distracted with. And, this is kind of funny. I'm kind of embarrassed to say it, but I don't think I'm the only one. So I will say what I'm thinking. And it's funny because when I was a smoker, I used to think smoking cigarettes was like help me release my stress, right? Like when I used to get stressed, like, oh my goodness, I just need to smoke a cigarette and that would be, helpful. But really, it wasn't the cigarette that helped release the stress. It was the pause, the breath, and the presence that brought on the peace and what seemed to be, the relief of the stress, because it brought on the peace, right? So, you took the deep breath, you paused, you thought for a minute, and you were present with the situation. And that's what truly brings the peace, not the cigarette. So if you're a smoker and you think that, it's not that. This is a season of rising and expanding beyond, my old patterns, rewriting my story, and embodying the woman that I've always meant to be, right? Always wanted to be too. It's not always that I was meant to be, but I've always had a vision of myself of being a certain way, right? You kind of think of that, you're like, oh yeah, especially when you're a little girl, I think, or a little boy, right? When we are young, when we didn't have a lot of the electronics and, social media and stuff like that, we had to use our imagination. We had to really just make things up and have all of everybody's ideas, right? We had some ideas on TV, but that was far and few between as well. So we just really had to use our imagination and create things on our own. God will give you like a little flashback of that thought or that vision of yourself, like, oh yeah, that's what I used to think when I was little. I used to play teacher a lot when I was little, and in house, and just different things like, that kind of helped me get on track with this whole embodying this new version of myself, right? Because sometimes, I don't know, I've heard lots of different things like, oh, people thinking that you're fake or you're pretending or whatever the case may be. And sometimes you have to fake it until you make it, right? You have to become this person that you want to be energetically before it becomes real life. You have to do the work, the healing work, so then you feel more comfortable being this new version of yourself. Because I'll be honest with you, there's a few times that I've tried to do this now. Okay. My nervous system wasn't ready for it because I didn't do enough work, healing work on the nervous system, regulating my nervous system to not be in the fight or flight or the survival mode anymore. That takes a bit of work, and I didn't really realize it. Now I feel like my nervous system can handle the change that is going to come with me doing the embodiment of this new version of myself. And then another thing too that I noticed, if you don't do the deep dive into healing your inner child, she or he will continue to scream and yell and scratch and stuff like that, different things, right? Because they're used to, a certain way as well. And when you're trying to make all of decisions and changes, they don't feel safe. They have been used to being in that environment, right? Of that fight or flight environment, or even the self-sabotaging and the survival mode. So you have to kind of heal those things and really take some time and compassion and tenderness to your inner child, so then she or he feels safe with the changes that you are making. So those are some important dynamics that I've had to really take on to be able to make this bigger shift that I'm in the midst of making. More to come on that. I'm working on getting some healing information on that, a workbook, a workshop to do some healing work and really be able to heal these different aspects of yourself, so then you can embody the higher version of yourself as well. So this isn't going to be for everybody. If you're new or on your healing journey, this isn't going to be for you necessarily. If you've been on it for a little while and now you're at the point of, embodying a higher version of yourself, then this is going to be for you. But if you're just starting and you're still working through a lot of trauma and things like that, then come back when you're ready, because, you don't want to jump too far in advance, because then it's not going to be beneficial for you. On that aspect, I just want to leave us with 3 affirmations that has to do with healing, embodying the higher version of yourself. First affirmation is, I am expanding into the highest version of myself, and every shift I make is aligning with my divine purpose. With every breath, I release the old and make space for the new. I am shifting with grace, power, and intention. My healing is creating space for miracles. I trust the shifts. I welcome the growth, and I rise with clarity and confidence. Those are some affirmations that you can say to yourself every day to help you reprogram your subconscious mind while you are doing some of the embodiment work as well. So you have to do both. You have to take some intentional action and the affirmations as well, so you can really start, because you have to believe that you are making these shifts and that you are a powerful human being and that you can do this, right? And so in order for you to believe it, at least for me, I needed to do some of this affirmation work to help rewrite a different story in my mind, instead of the unhealed version of myself with the negative self-talk. Now I am changing it to a healed version of myself with positive self-talk, and these affirmations help with that. There will be more, like I said, on the healing workbook that I'm working on, and I can't wait to put that out soon and help people who are in this process, right? Going into it not knowing how to even do certain things can be overwhelming, and then you don't really have anybody to talk to, neither. At least I didn't, right? I didn't have people to talk to on my journey. Nobody was doing the work that I'm doing, and currently still nobody I know in my circle is doing this healing work. And that's okay. Maybe they will be ready to do it down the road, but sometimes when you're doing it by yourself, having these videos and things like that, that's kind of what helped me as well, is helpful. And it gives you a little bit of wow, I'm not doing this on my own. Other people are going through some of the same things that I'm going through, and you feel that it's okay. and that you're going to make it through too. So I hope this is helpful, and we'll talk soon. Love you. Bye.